Millions of older homes in the US and Canada were built with brick veneers over wood-framed exterior walls, and many of them have actually lasted quite a while without too many issues. Now, this is obviously due to a number of factors such as good overhangs, high-quality old-growth lumber, and a lack of insulation. Now, over the past decade or two, many people have been pushing to insulate these older homes with brick veneers since we want to improve thermal comfort and save a little bit of money on our energy bills. However, safely insulating these types of wall assemblies can be extremely tricky to do correctly, and sometimes impossible depending on the existing conditions that you're working with, the local climate, the budget, and any other project limitations. So what's the problem with insulating these types of wall assemblies? Brick veneers and masonry in general absorbs and stores moisture. In fact, it's called a reservoir cladding for this reason, and it has the ability to absorb quite a bit of water, and then it has the ability to redistribute that water to other adjacent materials, as well as in the form of vapor. Think of it like a wet sponge that's attached to your building. This is exacerbated when the sun hits the surface of that wet brick, as moisture is driven inwards quite rapidly, and we can get very strong inward vapor drive. Now, these homes and buildings that were uninsulated allowed this moisture to dry out to the interior quite easily. There's nothing stopping or slowing down the drying process. However, when we go to add insulation to these walls, we're immediately changing the moisture balance in the assembly, as insulation slows heat flow. That's kind of the point of insulation. Less heat flow means that we'll have a reduced drying potential, as drying requires an exchange of energy. This is where we can run into a lot of issues when we insulate walls like this, as we can get condensation within the wall assembly, especially on the backside of the drywall or on the backside of the sheathing, depending on what climate we're building in. It gets worse though. Many homes with these brick veneers were constructed with the veneer flush or close to flush with the sheathing. If you were lucky, it was separated by some tar paper. Any gap that was present between the surfaces is usually filled up with mortar, clogging any ventilation or drainage space and causing leaks to occur in the walls. Again, these small leaks had some ability to dry out because the walls were presumably uninsulated. So what do you do in this case? How do you insulate old framed walls with brick veneers, and is it even possible? There are a couple of ways that you can safely insulate wall assemblies like these that we're going to discuss, but I'm going to preface this by saying that if you're unable to do either of these strategies, it would be best to leave these walls uninsulated to prevent or eliminate the potential for deterioration. Remember that these walls have been functioning well the same way, with the same drying patterns for decades, if not a century in some cases. You don't want to inadvertently change the moisture balance in these homes and buildings. So let's talk about the first method, which is the most foolproof and the least likely to cause any kind of issues. This is the Rainscreen approach, and it's suitable if you can change the appearance of the facade without running into issues with historic commissions or whatnot. The first step is that we're going to coat the brick veneer in a fluid-applied water and air control layer that's vapor permeable, so that the wall has the ability to dry out. And this provides a nice water-repellent surface to the face of the brick to reduce absorption and seal over any little gaps or cracks in that brick, especially around the mortar joints. It'll also provide a capillary break for the Rainscreen battents or furring strips. Then we're going to fasten 1x3 or 1x4 vertical furring strips to the brick veneer with masonry screws. You're going to want to verify that the brick veneer has been tied back to the wall with masonry ties before doing this. Verify this building condition with your structural engineer on the project before doing any of this, but assuming that everything is in good shape and that the brick veneer is supported laterally, you're going to fasten those vertical furring strips to the wall to provide a fastening base for some lightweight cladding or siding. So we're essentially turning this wall into a drained assembly, which it should have been initially, but we're assuming that it's not and that the weep holes and ventilation channels are non-existent or clogged. And so we're installing something like a lightweight vinyl siding or an aluminum siding to these vertical furring strips. The siding sheds the majority of the water that falls on the surface of the building and directs it away. The 1 to 5% of water that happens to get behind the siding will be drained and dried out within the ventilation channel created by the furring strips. Inward vapor drive is also managed because we are reducing or eliminating the quote-unquote reservoir, and we're free to insulate the existing cavity, granted that the framing is in good shape and that we have some capillary break at the sill if this is a slab-on-grade structure. In terms of insulation, we're going to want to choose something that's vapor open, such as mineral wool, fiberglass, wood fiber, or dense pack cellulose. They'll all work in this case. And finally, we're going to install our gypsum board. In this case, I'm actually going to recommend a gypsum board product that has a fiberglass matte facer, like Den's Armor Plus. Basically, this will eliminate the potential for mold growth on the backside of the drywall, since we are replacing that paper facer with an inorganic fiberglass mat. That's not to say that mold still can't grow within the cavity. All we're doing is that we're reducing the potential for mold growth in this case. We do have a moisture management guide available on our website on how to address a wide range of existing building conditions and how we need to fine-tune the approach depending on the project's specific limitations. We'll put a link to that guide in the description below. If the house is in a cold climate, then we would recommend installing a taped smart vapor retarder membrane on the interior side of the studs, and this will help to prevent interstitial condensation within the wall assembly, while allowing moisture to dry out of the walls back to the interior. This is very important to preventing moisture from being trapped within the wall assembly. So that's our first strategy that we can use in a fairly complicated building condition. Again, this isn't always possible if you can't alter the appearance of the exterior, in which we do have another potential solution, but only if it satisfies these following requirements. The existing brick veneer must already have a ventilated gap with weeps. There must be a WRB like tar paper or felt. There can't be any evidence of previous moisture intrusion. For example, we don't want to see any staining on the backside of the sheathing or dark spots at the base of the wall. And that's the other thing, the wall has to have sheathing. If there's no sheathing, or if the sheathing is sufficiently deteriorated, as is sometimes the case if fiberboard was used, the wall should not be insulated from the interior. Now, provided that all of these prerequisites are in place, the framed cavity can be insulated very carefully with a moisture-resistant insulation material that's vapor open. In this case, we're hesitant to specify anything other than mineral wool or fiberglass, as these materials will allow for drying, but they won't support mold growth as they're inorganic. Our preference is mineral wool, since it tends to be tougher and more durable than fiberglass, and it's hydrophobic. You don't want to over-insulate these cavities either, since we're expecting some moisture to be challenging the wall assembly. Then we can install our drywall, which again should be a fiberglass matte-faced gypsum, especially in this case to reduce the potential for mold growth. And if we are building in a cold climate, a taped smart vapor retarder membrane should be installed to prevent condensation within the cavity while allowing for drying. Guys, these are really the only options that we have when it comes to insulating an old brick veneer wall. Sometimes it's just not possible given certain building conditions and circumstances, and that's okay at the end of the day. We want our buildings to last a long time, and we have to acknowledge that we have a very large existing housing stock that may have less than ideal building conditions, but have lasted a very long time for a reason. And there are other things that we can do to improve thermal comfort and efficiency in these older buildings. It doesn't automatically mean that they're total teardowns, it just means we have to do things a little bit differently. If you found this video helpful, make sure to leave a like, and subscribe for more weekly building science videos, and head over to our website at asiri-designs.com, where we have over 150 free building science articles that cover a wide range of topics, including insulating and air sealing these old buildings the right way. And make sure to pick up our moisture management guide to residential remodels. Links will be in the description below. For now, good luck with your projects. Cheers.